Hey, what's up, Andrew? Thank you so much for turning in your video. Throughout your individual practice, all the practice you're doing in the calls, and in your recording submissions, it is very, very evident that your practice is really paying off, and I can tell you, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and you should know that you're getting better and better as a visual performer. Your insert exercise, count structure-wise, posture-wise, technique fundamentally, flawless. Awesome job. I think you did a fantastic job demonstrating your knowledge of everything you've built up to now. So a couple things that you can work on to better further your understanding of technique, even more so than you do right now, is just going a little bit more to the extreme. Some of the questions I'm going to ask you, like right now, are going to be a little bit more abstract things I just want you to think about as you're practicing. Things like, am I really putting as much energy as I can through my first step? Am I pulling my toes up as high as I possibly can and really pushing energy through that heel, whether it's on forwards or whether it's on backwards, and maintaining that kind of height that you start with? I think there's a little bit more you can do on that realm as far as really exaggerating our technique, and a lot of that is going to have to come from making sure you really engage the knees a little bit more, especially on backwards. That way you don't get this kind of scraping sound when it comes to our backwards technique. It could be the surface of ground you're marching on, which is totally fine, but to try to minimize that on any surface, you may have to pick up the knees a little bit more and make sure you're really thinking about pointing that toe down through your shoe to get this perpendicular shape. That way you have as little surface area to cover on the ground, and you can really focus on having as little resistance on your backwards marching. One other thing that I noticed throughout both of your exercises that I know and could tell that you were easily aware of is that you have a little bit of an inconsistency as far as first steps and just maintaining that consistent step size. And I totally understand that, but I'm glad you were making the fixes because it is a completely new exercise. It's completely, it's a bit longer than things we've normally done. So I really appreciate seeing you make those fixes. Now, the task for you going forward is, can you work towards consistency? Can you figure out the size of the first step to take, and can you maintain that to your dot until you have practiced and have memorized an equal size step? It seems that your tendency is, for most pathways, is to start small and to have to increase your step size going forward. And that's largely evident on your pathway going to splitting on all parts of the exercise. So I would just highly encourage you to take some really mindful practice, take some mindful reps, and make sure that you're memorizing the size and distance of that step so you can get further and further to taking an equal size step every single time. And that's going to go more and more for especially those really bigger pathways that we talked about during the call. When you're maybe at 1-off going back to the yard line, you have a side-to-side vector of 7 steps. So really focusing and relying on the technique and relying on your mental capacity to memorize that step size distance is going to really, really help you. But I think overall, you did a fantastic job. I know I already cleared you for the choreography, so if you check right now, you should be cleared for week 8, and I'm looking forward to see how much more you can improve, and I really appreciate everything you've done, man. Great job.